Welcome back. So that just happened again where I uploaded recorded a whole video and it didn't download or save to my phone. So that's fun. Don't love that for me. Anyway, I'm going to try to remember everything that I said and touch back on all those things. But yeah, I feel like so much has happened this week. There's a lot of really cool things that are happening behind the scenes, but also new things that are coming, and I'm just a little bit overwhelmed, so just bear with me. But in this video, I want to talk about like the realities of being a single mom by choice, what like my actual journey has been like to this point, being a single mom in general, because I think so many of us, when you're considering this journey, like I'm rewinding to myself 5 years ago, and all the things that kind of went through my head, all the questions that I had, like, can I really do this? What's it gonna look like? Can I afford that? What's my kid gonna be like? Like, am I making a bad choice morally? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much, right? And just like the real day-to-day logistics of that, like, what does it even look like, right? Most of us don't have a ton of people in our lives that are single moms by choice, maybe online, and that's what's great about being able to like create a community space. But a lot of times we don't have people, like your sister is probably not a single mom by choice. If she is, that's great. Pick her brain. No kidding. Best friend, probably not. A lot of times I'll get questions and, people will sign up to have a one-on-one coaching or mentorship, because you want to pick the brain of somebody that's living it, right? Which makes sense. Because there's not many of us that have those people right at an arm's reach, right, in our real day-to-day lives. So I really just want to talk about those things and be honest, because I wish somebody had been able to just like all these things to me when I was thinking about it. So yeah, I want to just thinking about pregnancy, that kind of scared me. And now I'm going to go back to like with Riley, because with Riley, I was engaged to be married. I was like living the dream, doing what you're supposed to be doing. All my ducks were in a row. I was doing what I'm supposed to do, right? Is the messaging. And planning for a wedding. This is my forever person. We had all these plans and hopes and dreams and blah, blah, blah. And still, I mean, I was 25 when I got pregnant with her. To me, that's a good age. I'm 35 now. And I still agree that it was right. Like I had a pretty decent corporate job that had a future for sure. I'm no longer there. Thank God. We'll get into that another time, but that didn't work out for a reason. But at the time, things were good. We had a cute little place. We had, all the plans. Everything was right. But then when I actually got pregnant and we went to the doctor and confirmed that I was in fact pregnant, I was terrified. Like, holy, oh my God, like there's a human, like I'm going to be responsible for this other life. Like what? And I had never really been around babies. Like I had babysat a handful of times. I have brothers from my dad's second marriage that they're much younger than me. So like I had a little bit of exposure therapy there, but I wasn't around very much because I was a teenager. So I was kind of doing my own thing when they were that small. So I didn't spend a ton of time, which shame on me now, but, and you learn, I guess, you live and learn, but, yeah, I didn't get to be around a lot of babies. So the thought of like, wait, I'm going to have one of my own. They're going to let me leave with said baby. Even though I have no experience, I don't have any formal training in motherhood because there isn't any. But yeah, like the whole thing was terrifying. And that is with, again, I'm doing it the right way. And I'm using quotations if you're listening to this on the podcast. I'm using quotations when I say all my ducks were in a row. Everything was perfect. I was doing it by the book, right? Because I don't believe in that in any way anymore now. But I thought that, it should feel good because everything's right. Quotations. But even then it was scary because it's the reality of like, hey, this is like a permanent, this is it. Like there's no turning back, right? And honestly, after that, I was scared when it first happened. And then I really loved being pregnant with Riley. I loved just with my bump, and I loved like envisioning my life with this baby, like my baby girl. I was so excited. I knew that I was gonna have a girl. I knew that her name was gonna be Riley Catherine. I've known that since I was like 12 years old, which is probably crazy, but I knew I was gonna have a girl. She came to me in a dream. You believe me or not, we can talk about that another day. But I always knew. So it was like, that's exciting. But then that excitement turned very quickly into horror and, oh my God, can I actually do this? When I started spotting a couple days before I was set to be induced, because I was like 40 weeks and I forget how many days. Anyways, I was like, we're fully cooked. Let's go, baby. And I was in the hospital walking around with my mom before they hooked me up to everything. And like just to kind of get things going. And we're walking around and it was like, whoa, wait, I'm going to have to push this baby out of my body. Like I truly, and I just kind of find it funny because I'm such a type A in so many areas of my life, but there's also so many others that I'm just like, let it be, bruh. You know what I mean? Which is so funny because there's just two totally like polar opposite sides of me that sometimes like things need, like I'm like obsessive about things being a certain way and blah, blah, blah. And there's other things that I'm just able to just ride the waves, I guess. I don't know. But with my pregnancy, I just truly loved it and enjoyed it and tried to absorb all the good, fun parts about creating a life inside of me. And then, yeah, when I was at the hospital ready to like get her out, it was everything just terrified me. Like, I'm actually gonna have to do this. Like, Mom, can you do this for me? And obviously she laughed and was like, I wish, but I already did it twice. Like, this is your turn. Go for it. You got it. And of course, everything was okay. I ended up having a emergency C-section because she was facing the wrong way. She was posterior something. I forget what it's called. But instead of facing up, she was facing down. Or instead of facing down, I forget. But anyways, she wasn't facing, like her feet were up, like she was head down like she's supposed to, but her face was like facing the wrong way. Anyways, but she was also a really big baby, like 9'3", so she just was not coming out. She was just hitting like the back of my like butt area, and it was awful. I was in active labor, pushing, like my body was like naturally pushing, and it was not happening. So yeah, it turned into an emergency C-section. But Riley and I were fine. We're both good now. Like, no complications. Thank God. We're so blessed, so lucky that everything ended up being okay. But it was scary, and it took me a sec to be okay after all that. Just like you're on adrenaline and no sleep and just all the emotions and love and just euphoria and all these things. But then it didn't take long for me to be like, I could probably do that again. Like, this is cool. Like, once I was holding her and looking at her little squished potato face, and she just looked like, oh, like just squishable and lovable, and it's my baby. Like, you almost forget. I didn't forget because it was pretty crazy, but you almost forget how crazy it is, and then you're just like, wow, I could do this. And then motherhood is kind of like that, and it just kind of, that cycle just continues where you're like, oh my God, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And then you just realize that you can, because you learn, and we're all doing our best. And what's funny too about motherhood is that once you become a mom, okay, if you were raised by a mom or a mother figure, okay, a lot of us, like, we think, or even you had both your parents or whatever, or your dad raised by a dad, doesn't really matter who it was, like your guardian, right? The person who was taking care of you, the adult. A lot of times we, like, as a kid, we look up to them, right? Like, they know everything. Like, they have all the answers. They're like our guiding star, right? Okay, this is a weird transition. Okay, it's the next day. But I was lucky to be able to find a window of time to be able to film the other part that I was trying to record. Now, if this deletes, I give up for this week. Hopefully it saves. But yes, what I was saying in the last part is that eventually, once you become a parent yourself, you very quickly realize that our parents or our guardians are, the adult figures in our lives are just kind of doing their best. Like, nobody knows exactly what they're doing. They're just really trying. And we're kind of lucky because we can learn from their mistakes, hopefully, and adopt new ways of doing things, you know, especially as a new generation. We get to learn from their mistakes, right? And we get to see the statistics and see that what works, what doesn't. And what's really wonderful about being a single mom by choice is that there are actually more and more studies that are coming out that are proving the benefits of being raised in a single mom by choice or even a single mom by circumstance situation, as long as mom is doing her best. It helps if she has community, friendship, family, whatever, even if it's not in the online space, okay? People that you can kind of lean on. Because if mom is thriving, mom is happy, and thriving looks different to different people. Like, we're not saying mom has to be hugely wealthy, hugely successful in business, has to be this, you know, whatever. Thriving looks different to different people. But if mom is happy, okay, if this is a happy home, the kids are good. I'm telling you, the new statistics are showing that in single parent homes, okay, so this is you or potentially you, the kids thrive as long as mom is thriving. So if you find yourself having a hard time, speak up. And I'm guilty of this actually, because I have a hard time where I kind of, a habit actually of bottling it up. Like, things will be like weighing on me or I'm stressing. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I don't like to be a bother. I don't like to rely on people too much. I kind of learned that as a survival technique, to just kind of be fiercely independent. But sometimes I need to just put up my hands and say, you know what, I need a hand, I need a break. And I'm very lucky that my best friend is able to give me a hand on occasion. My mom does on occasion too. Even if it's like, I want to go to the grocery store myself, like by myself, can you watch them for like an hour? Let me just go do a grocery. And as much as that's not like a spa retreat, okay, sometimes just being able to be in the car and hear your own thoughts for a drive independently and to be able to just go do the groceries and, like, you know, leisure grocery, we don't have to rush or whatever it is, you know. Spa days are great, of course, if you can, and whatever it is, but it's important. It's so crucial to be able to take care of you. So find community, find resources in some way or another. There's actually mom groups. You could check out. Facebook is huge for this. It's really great, where you can maybe even find some moms in your area that are also independent moms. And if there isn't one, create one. Hello. But what you could do is do like a thing where you everyone kind of takes a turn babysitting. You know what I mean? Because especially if they have kids the same age as yours, and of course, build a friendship first. Don't just leave your children with strangers that you don't know. You have to, it takes work, of course, just like with a babysitter or whatever. But eventually you can have and build your own chosen family. So if you don't have this rock star village team that people talk about, you can create one. Right? Because if you're thriving, if you're taken care of, and whatever that looks like for you, your kids are good. Okay? So anyone that's scaring you with the, oh my God, but it's a fatherless home, and what are you doing to your kids? The studies are proving that our kids are thriving. So we'll leave them with that, okay? But yeah, all of that to say, I was talking about the pregnancy before in the first half of the video. And all of it was to say, like, I was terrified with my pregnancy with Riley when I had all my quote unquote ducks in a row. And it was terrifying nonetheless. And just like when I had my pregnancy with Leo, I was scared. It's a big deal. Can I actually do this? Oh my God, it's another human. They're dependent on me fully. And yeah, it's a scary reality, but you learn as you go. Truly, you learn as you go. Nobody, like I was saying, like, you realize that nobody has all of the answers. Nobody. We are all figuring it out, okay? And what's great, like I said, about a community like this is we're able to kind of bounce things off each other. And if you're like, hey, wait, I'm going to ask Jen and see if she has something kind of similar going on with her daughter who's about the same age as Leo or whatever it is. I do it all the time. But it's really great to be able to find people that are living it or have lived it, or if their kids are grown or whatever, or even bounce ideas off of donor conceived people. Again, inside of Single Mom Mindset, we tackle all of these things. The community aspect of it is now happening, which is great. The ability to connect with other people that are considering this, are living it, or whatever it is. So it's great to be able to have even online besties. That's really great too. So, yeah, use that as a resource. It's available. I'll link the program down here. I have free guides. I have tons of resources. So check it all out at the link below. But yes, I just really wanted to talk about how, I get to have the perspective of both, being that I was engaged to be married and, I was doing it, quote unquote, the right way, or the traditional way that everyone says is you need to do it that way. And motherhood was just as scary. The first year, I was just learning how to be a mom. I was just, postpartum. And Riley wasn't latching. So we had to do the lip and tongue tie surgery twice because it closed and it was like, ugh. And I'm a little squeamish. So that was really hard for me. But yeah, there was a lot. She wasn't nursing, she was losing weight, that we were panicking, and then she was supplementing with formula, and then my milk supply dried up, and I was stressed, and I was like, what, is it me? Am I a terrible mom? And I was crying, and it was it was not cute for a bit, and I was freaking out. And honestly, at that time, I had an even smaller community then. And again, I'm doing it, quotations, air quotations. I was doing it the right way, okay? As a new mom, I was struggling because nobody talked about the reality, okay? And motherhood is hard. I don't care how you're doing it. I don't care if you're doing it with a huge village of people. Okay, of course that helps a little bit, yeah. But at the end of the day, they're yours, right? And as Mama Bear, you want to be doing the best possible job because you love them. So no matter what you have going on, you're going to have that on your shoulders of that weight that you're going to carry of the responsibility of being a good parent and knowing that it's up to you for this human to thrive, right? So it's a lot of pressure. It can be very, very high pressure situation, but again, having a community is fantastic, and we all can be transparent. And yeah, it's funny though, because motherhood is hard. Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. I love being a mom. I truly do. There are some days where I'm like, your girl needs a break. And that's any mom you ask is going to tell you that unless they're lying. But I wouldn't change a thing. However, with my, when I was with my ex, okay, and trying to parent and have this family and whatever the traditional thing, it was a billion times harder because we had different values. We had different parenting styles that didn't mesh, and we are both a little bit hard-headed. And he was just unwavering. Even when things were dangerous, he was unwilling to see things another way. And again, I'm not perfect. Of course, I wasn't perfect in that relationship either. But it was so much more challenging to try to parent. And then after we separated, trying to co-parent. If I could scream that word and not, have this video banned, I would, or this audio. But oh my Lanta. It was hard. Okay, so if I could go back in time and do the single mom by choice route initially and have 5 kids like that on my own, I would do it a million times, because I've lived it with a partner who wasn't the most perfect person in the world. And unfortunately, I couldn't find the most perfect partner in the world, maybe one day. But yeah, if you have the choice, I recommend doing it this way. It's not a sacrifice to be a single mom by choice.